Good afternoon, friends, and a warm welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world, and a club dedicated to imagining and carrying out the Rotary mission of service above self. I'm Glenn Miller, the club president. It's very good to be back with you again at the podium, and my thanks again to President-elect Aaron for pinch hitting for me last week. Our opening song today, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Steve Feldman. Our invocation will be led by Eric Chase, and our visitors and visiting Rotarians will be introduced by Megan Given. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices.
I'm sure glad President Glenn told us what song we were singing. So, Rotarians, please join me. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you prepare yourself in the way you're most accustomed to prayer? Let us pray. God of creation, we pause in this moment. Unified by our fellowship in Rotary, we are humbled to serve you in our world. We give gratitude for this day and our speakers, Jules and Amy, as they bring their message of inspiring and uniting our One York community, especially during this time of transition in the York County United Way. We thank you for the abundant blessings in our own lives and for this food in the hands that have prepared and serve it. May we use it to fill ourselves and strengthen our bodies as we unite as one body to serve you and our community above ourselves. We ask this in the many names we call you. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Glenn has welcomed you. Guests today, Allison Siegelman, guest of Kim Alvarez, Cora Taylor, guest of Andy Rawitz, Natalie Gunderson, guest of Mark Wheeler, Kim Lentz, guest of Joan Mummert, Catherine Roque, guest of Wilda Alessi. The following rock star guests are here with Cal Weary, Alyssa Cologne, Cole Saylor, Tegan Thatcher, Gilad Goldman, and Amani Weary. And finally, Cindy Donnelly, guest of Tom Donnelly.
Friends, we are very grateful to have you here today at the Rotary Club. I know that you will enjoy our program as well as the fellowship of diverse community leaders who surround you. I hope you'll return to us again in the future and perhaps even consider joining our ranks. And a special recognition to the group that is here that competed in the Before the End rock band competition. They were one of 11 finalists nationally at the 2023 Tri-C High School Rock-Off held in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. We are especially happy to have you here along with rock and roll legend Cal Weary, the father of one of you. Let's welcome all of our friends again. Please be seated. We extend our deep condolences to Rotarian Joe Stein on the death of his mother, Rose Stein, Services for Rose are this upcoming Saturday morning. And we also extend our very best wishes and prayers to Rotarian Fred Rosenmiller, who is currently hospitalized at York Hospital. Our exchange student, Jean Lafort, has an onstage role at the York Suburban High School Seussical the Musical this weekend. Members of the Student Exchange Committee are sponsoring a digital ad for that program that will be projected during those performances. Showtimes are this Friday, March the 3rd at 7 p.m. and Saturday the 4th at 2 and at 7. If any club member is interested in attending, tickets are still available. Continuing with announcements, the IDEA committee will meet on Monday, March the 6th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The PPE committee will meet on Wednesday, the 8th at 8 a.m. at Warehouse as well as via Zoom. And the PPE committee is hosting a happy hour on Wednesday, March the 15th at the White Rose Bar and Grill from 4 to 5:30. Come and learn more about what this committee does, share your ideas on ways they can make York a greener place, and of course, enjoy the fellowship and libation with your fellow Rotarians. The membership committee is pleased to congratulate both Ben Hoover and John Ulrich on their 52nd anniversaries of membership in this club. They joined in 1971, and little did I know that when I was sitting in junior high school, I would one day have the honor of honoring both of these esteemed gentlemen this afternoon. Seriously, thank you so much for decades of faithful leadership and service in this club. It has been an honor to be a Rotarian with you in this organization. Next Wednesday, March the 8th, is International Women's Day. And to recognize that day, the IDEA committee is inviting all Rotarians to wear purple in honor of that event. So please make note of that on your calendar or on your Excel spreadsheet that you have for attire next week, and come in purple. And now our executive director, Lynn, has an update on our very exciting upcoming off-site meeting. Lynn.
Thank you, President Glenn. I am delighted to confirm that we will be holding our March 29th club meeting at the Yorktown Hotel. Really? We've been waiting for this opportunity, and we are very grateful to Rotarians Michael Blum and James Parker for welcoming us to see the newly renovated hotel. They have made arrangements for optional tours of the hotel before and after Rotary. You will need to sign up for a time because space is limited. As with any meeting not held here at the Country Club, members will need to register to attend that meeting and to take a tour. So probably you already saw on your table, we have the QR codes. You can just go straight to the registration site. And as a reminder, you have to turn off your Wi-Fi if you're going to do that here at the Country Club. You can also bring guests to this meeting. Guests need to be registered as well, and guests are welcome to attend the tours, but do need to be registered as well. If you just can't wait to join all your fellow Rotarians at the Yorktown, past President Rob Bowen has hooked us up with a happy hour on March 8th at the Yorktown Hotel at the Rooftop Bar. And I asked Rob, it's March, like, are we gonna have to be outside? He assures me there's inside as well there. Rob, is there still space left in that? So we do have spaces limited, but we have probably enough seats for lots of you guys out there. I know that you all are going to be very excited, so I'm excited to join you there. How many people are going? All right, see you there. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lynn. I know that many of us have waited a long time to see the newly renovated hotel, and even if you've already seen it, it's going to be pretty special for this club of all entities to be back in that ballroom for a regular Wednesday meeting. 2 weeks ago, I let you all know that we would be providing funding for earthquake relief in Turkey and in Syria. We learned at that time that President-elect nominee Courtney Bailey has a special personal connection to efforts that are happening in those relief efforts right on the ground. And she is here today to give us some insights into how we might connect with that organization and help. Courtney.
Morning, everybody. So you may be wondering why there's a picture of a bed on the screen over here. Oops, went too far. And that's because I need you to do me a favor. Tonight, as you guys are crawling into your comfortable beds, I want you to think of me when you're crawling into your bed tonight. Not in that way, not in that way. But you'll remember that when you're crawling into bed tonight. And think of the people of Turkey, because some people that are in Turkey right now, this is their situation. They're crawling into a bed that might look like this. And as President Glenn stated earlier, this is actually a conference room from a company that my company works with over in Turkey. We buy buses from this company. They're just a regular company like any other company in this room. And when the devastation hit, the earthquake, they quickly started putting up cots throughout their facility. They took out all the buses in their showroom and they set up a food area. They set up a medical area, and they're housing hundreds of people each day who no longer have anywhere to go. A lot of their employees have passed away, so they're kind of just making do with what they can with the building that's standing. So as Rotarians, I'm asking you all to come together and let's see what we can do to help out with our efforts here and try to get them some support over in Turkey. Pictured here, you'll see a picture of some children that are just doing some schoolwork and some art supplies. You'll also see some people lined up with their pets that they brought with them, trying to get some pet food. So these people truly have nothing. So you might be asking yourself, how can you help? And of course, that's to donate. So we're going to be, as the Rotary Club of York, collecting funds. You can do that in 3 different ways. First way is the easiest, going to our website, yorkrotary.org. and donating. Second way, you can bring in a check to Rotary next week or any of the following weeks, or if you have your checkbook today, we also will accept that. You can also just mail a check to the Rotary Club, and we're trying to collect all these donations by April 1st. So one of the nice things is that your donation can be matched. So the CEF board has agreed to donate up to $5,000 matching funds from any donations for members in this club. So what that means is if we as club members donate up to $5,000, that magically turns into $10,000. And that money will be used to help support this company over in Turkey with their shelter efforts, as right now they're trying to just house the people within their facility. They're also working towards purchasing some of these tiny homes and getting families back up on their feet so that they can start to get back to some type of normalcy. So tonight when you're crawling into bed, make sure you have that wallet next to you on your nightstand. Go to yorkrotary.org. and help out our efforts here at the Rotary Club of York. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Now, when these devastating things happen across the world, we all feel the compassion that we should rightly feel, but sometimes it's very difficult to have those kind of local connections to be assured that your contribution is going directly for support. So it's a terrific coincidence for us that Courtney and her company have this relationship with this organization in Turkey. And as she has said, there are matching funds from CEF. So please give generously as you are able. And speaking of generosity, I learned just this morning that the club has met the goal for the Sandafa toilet project. We have brought this in on time, and we have slightly gone over the goal that was set for us, challenged for us really by Jane and her committee. This is a critically important piece. It's not the entirety, but it's an important piece of the funding stack for the project. So on behalf of Jane Conover and her committee, again, congratulations to all of you and thanks to all of you for your generosity on the project. And now, past President Josh George has 2 new members to introduce for us today.
Thank you, President Glenn, and good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. have the privilege of introducing two new members to our Rotary Club today. Just a quick note, Anu Banks, who's one of our new members, was a little bit nervous. He thought he had to get up here and speak. So if you'd like him to get up here and speak, I could actually grab him. Just a little hazy here on the first day, nothing to worry about. So without further ado, Anu Banks is joining us today. He is a graduate of Mahanoy. I've never been known how to say that. Mahanoy High School up in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. He went on to earn a diploma in auto mechanics from trade school, and then went to Stratford Career Institute, where he earned a degree in business management. He is the owner, excuse me, of Banks Housekeeping, but you actually may know him better for his work with the Movement of York, where he is the founder and executive director. His hobbies include reading, long drives, and meditation. I hope he's not reading while he's taking a long drive. And then he is the father of several children: Deidre, LaQuasha, Elijah, Jair, Jacinda, and Mansoor. And he is proposed by Cal Weary. Ladies and gentlemen, Anu Banks. And then to your left is Amanda Harden. Amanda is a graduate of West York High School, and she went on to earn a bachelor's in social work from Millersville University and a master's in social work from Widener University. She is a director of Lancaster and York programs for the Valley View Youth House, and she was telling me a little bit about Valley View today during lunch. Please get with her after the meeting and she can tell you all about it as well. She is a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. She's volunteers with the Harvest Chapel in Abbottstown. She serves as a committee member of the York County Coalition on Homelessness, and she's a volunteer for the PA Statewide Adoption and Permanency Network. Her hobbies include off-roading, traveling, reading, and doing DIY projects. She is married to Jesse, and her proposer is Eric Chase. Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Harden.
I always thought it was Mahanoy, but I learned something new today. All right. You probably did. There we go. Friends, welcome to the Rotary Club of York, to this family of community leaders. I know that we will be a better club for having you as members, and I hope that you feel that you will become better citizens of our community by being a part of this club. Like the projects you just heard about, there are many opportunities for you to share your gifts and join with us in both imagining a better world and making it happen right here in York. Again, we're delighted to have you. Let's give them another warm welcome. And now Brian Grimm and Bobby and Delane, Mahanoy, right? It was Mahanoy, yeah. These two fine folks have something to tell you about the Literacy Committee.
Dalio. Hi there. Oops, wait, go back. Phew. Not that far.
Sorry, I messed it all up already.
Hi, I am Bobby Andalio, and I sit on the Rotary Literacy Committee. Shock and surprise. Many years ago, you'll remember that we had two very special guests visit us. Brian and I have been in touch with both the Cat in the Hat and Cindy Lou, and they are retired. They're hanging out on a beach somewhere, having a great time. And they wanted us to remind you that reading is important. Having children have books in their hands is very important. And they're also threatening to come back if we don't hit our goal, Brian. Okay. Each March, the Rotary Club of York's Literacy Committee makes the commitment to children by asking our fellow Rotarians to contribute to the annual book drive. Because of your generosity, the committee has put more than 1,000 books in the hands of children in York County. Your donations have benefited organizations like Crispus Attucks Early Learning Center, Family First Health's Reading Corner,
York Day Early Learning, the Logos Academy Library, YMCA, York City School Districts, elementary, middle school, and high school libraries, pre and after school programs, and children's home libraries. This year, our goal is a very small $1,500. That is $10 a piece for everybody. We will exceed our goal. Okay. We know that there's a lot of causes, very good causes vying for your dollars. So we want to tell you that these funds are going to stay in York City, and they will be going to home-based family care providers. What is a home-based family care provider? I didn't know either. Home-based family care providers, Brian, I'm so off script, I'm sorry. These providers are licensed by the Department of Human Services. They earn Keystone designations, just like other centers, that test their quality standard. They care for different age children. The care is often provided by for second and third shift parents who are going to work. So these people who are typically women, they can take up to 5 children in their home, and they are technically small business owners. And I mentioned to Jules and Amy earlier that they are probably Alice, who you're going to hear more about that soon from them. So your generous contribution will provide books to children, to their families, and to the home-based centers for the children. So we're asking you for your donation anytime during the month of March. All the usual channels, Lynn checks, we'll have a table set up, and Brian's going to talk to you more about that.
Thank you, Cindy, Lou, Bobby, Ann. I don't know if you can tell by the picture, but when we saw Cindy Lou, she's aging a lot more gracefully than the guy who played Cat in the Hat. So good job there. I digress. For those of you who know me, and now for those of you who don't know me but will know, I like big checks and I cannot lie. For those of you who give out money, this is probably a tradition that's gone away. We'll blame it on COVID or whatever. But I really recommend you bring back the big check presentation. As being someone on the recipient end of these, it's pretty cool. But fortunately, as you can see in some of these pictures, I was able to be the presenter for once. And I got to tell you, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So some of the organizations, oh, also, by the way, when you show up with one of these checks, everyone smiles, right? No one's like, oh, here comes another big check, right? I'm just trust me on this one, all right? I learned all this week, actually. As you can see in the slides, we were able to give 3 centers checks from last year's contributions. $500 each went to the Little Bulldogs Academy in West York. Very happy to see us. The Christ Church Child Care Center, which is in York City, which is directly behind the newly renovated Yorktown. How many times do you have to say newly renovated? When does that go away, Kev? Like soon? Newly renovated Yorktown, right behind it. As well as York Day Early Learning, formerly known as York Day Nursery, which is at our York Tech location. They were not as excited to see me because I usually bring donuts and they don't really care about checks. So we're working through it. Lastly, we were able to present a $400 check to our presenters today at the United Way of York County's Reach Out and Read program, who do a great job of bringing awareness and actual materials to new parents. So studies show, it's important from the time they're in your womb until the time they're adults that you should be reading to them, and they do a great job of providing those materials. Okay, I think we take this down. With that, you will see us at the table downstairs for the next 3 weeks. On the 22nd, we'll be on the way out as well. So please feel free to donate. The flyers are on the table. We have 11 people on our committee now, which we're really excited about. If you're on the committee, could you raise your hand straight up in the air? All right, now wave it that way. And then this way. Okay, so you can give them money too, and they'll be happy to get it to the right folks. Thanks, guys, for the time, and we appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for the great work that your committee always does. And now we turn to our program for today. The United Way of York has been a cornerstone of changing lives for a very long time in this community. Today, we will hear about some critical changes on how the agency is going about that important work. Our presenters today are Rotarian Jules Tolbert and Amy Wannemacher. Jules is well known to all of us. Among many other community involvements, Jules is currently serving as the board chair of the United Way of York. Jules is joined by Amy, a past board chair, a recently retired executive with Gladfelder Paper, and currently serving as the interim CEO of the United Way. Friends, please welcome Jules and Amy.
Well, good afternoon. I am honored to be here before you as the relatively new board chair of the United Way of York County Board of Directors. And today, Amy and I would like to provide an update on where the United Way is on our strategic journey. And if we go astray, all of these staff members and board members can bail us out. Alternatively, if you want to tune me out, the entire briefing is on this one piece of paper that is on your table. So take this home with you. You got the whole briefing. But speaking of staff and board members in the room, there's a long legacy of overlap amongst members of the Rotary Club of York and leaders and donors of the United Way. I'd like to ask you to raise your hand if you have now or have ever been a United Way board member, staff member, part of a allocation panel, a campaign cabinet, a volunteer in any other way, or a donor to the United Way. It makes sense that so many of you have your hands up because the mission of service and of improving the lives of all in our community is common to Rotary and to United Way. Thank you all. Last week, we heard about the history of capital campaign giving in York, and how the generosity of the York philanthropic community has allowed York to thrive in ways that other similar cities like Mansfield, Ohio, have not. Michael Hady described the transition of large corporate giving in the 60s and 70s to significant private foundation giving more recently and today. And as Dave Meckley described in response to a question, capital campaigns giving can be distinguished from operational program giving, which is solidly the purview of the United Way. The United Way of York County was founded 102 years ago as the York Welfare Federation, an organization that at that time raised funds for 17 member agencies. Over that century, the United Way has channeled over $500 million in present day dollars for impactful programs run by local nonprofit organizations in York County. The traditional model of the United Way fundraising is workplace campaigns, where a company CEO or president would invite the United Way to make an appeal to employees to allow payroll deductions to be transferred to the United Way. Those funds are then allocated to programs run by specially designated and carefully reviewed nonprofit organizations, our partner agencies. Those funded programs have impact objectives spread amongst the areas of health, education, and financial stability. In recent years, that campaign has raised over $5 million annually to benefit 64 programs in 32 partner agencies. While very impactful, that traditional model has proven to be less effective over the last decade and a half. There are less locally owned large companies that invite workplace campaigns, and patterns of giving among younger donors are changing. We have realized that the United Way of York County is at a strategic inflection point, meaning that if we keep doing the things the way we always have, we will become increasingly irrelevant and less effective in our mission. To react appropriately and as a result of a long strategic planning process, we have a newly refined mission, vision, and focus. Our mission now is to assist working households in our community achieve financial stability by collaboratively and equitably reducing barriers to prosperity. We have a vision of an equitably thriving York County. And to reach that vision, we will focus on working households struggling to cover basic living expenses. Additionally, we seek to step up to be a lead collaborator amongst nonprofit organizations to lead through change and to convene the community toward coordinated action. And a point on terminology. As we focused on working households struggling to cover basic living expenses, we use the term ALICE, which is a term embraced not just within the United Way context, but also as part of the YCA developed York County Economic Action Plan and many other nonprofit organizations. ALICE means asset limited, income constrained, and employed. Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce Amy Wannemacher, who's a longtime volunteer, prior board chair, and currently serving as interim president. She will talk further about what we mean by ALICE and how the United Way is formulating an approach to assist that community.
Thank you, Jules. Good afternoon, everyone. So I have a couple questions for you, the audience, and I'm going to pick on a couple people. So first, I'm going to pick on Bill Hartman. Let's see, Bill. A question for you. If you had to choose between buying medicine for your child or paying your electric bill on time because your electricity is going to be turned off, what would you choose? Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. And pick on someone else here. John Eister, do you? Question for you, John. If you had to purchase groceries for your family or choose to pay your rent on time, what would you do? Thanks, John. Appreciate you sharing that experience. Last question. I'm going to pick on someone else. Natalie Gunderson, where are you? So Natalie, if you had to choose between paying for quality daycare for your child or having enough rooms in your apartment for your entire family, what would you do? Thanks. So thanks everyone for participating. So these difficult choices, these are not hypothetical examples. These are real life choices that working, struggling families have to make each and every day. So as John just shared with us, they have real world consequences. And if you choose to buy groceries versus paying your rent, you're going to get evicted. These choices are obviously impossible, but nearly 1/4 of our York community has to make these choices each and every day. So who are these households? And Jules just alluded, these households are ALICE, and that's asset limited, income constrained, but employed. We've been talking about ALICE for, I think it's been about 5 years. Some of you may know ALICE, some of you may not. So indulge me for a minute. I'm going to also educate you on ALICE a bit, but this acronym ALICE was actually initiated by a project from the United Way of New Jersey. And this project, they wanted to focus on families and individuals that were working, they had salaries, but they just couldn't meet their basic needs. Many states all over the US, including the United Way of Pennsylvania, have partnered with the United Way of Northern New Jersey. The Alice project in this report that we get is a methodology using publicly available data such as census data, employment data, wage data, cost of living, and other data. And this helps us to understand who Alice is in our community, and also that Alice sits above that federal poverty level, but below a sustainability wage level. So let's dispel some myths about Alice. These households are living paycheck to paycheck and are one crisis away from falling into poverty. They are working hard, sometimes multiple jobs, but are still struggling to cover basic needs. And even though Alice is working hard, they cannot get ahead, and they're just one layoff or medical crisis away from financial disaster. So where is Alice in our community? Here's Alice by zip code in our community. While some of these zip codes have higher concentration, every single part of our county is affected. So when I talk about Alice, I like to use this financial layer cake to explain Alice. The term Alice refers to anyone who lives above the federal poverty level, but below a sustainability budget threshold. A survival budget is a measure of the bare minimum cost a household needs to live, versus a stability budget is a measure of what it takes to run a household in this modern economy with a small savings. The United Way of York County's goal is to engage the entire community, businesses, nonprofits, government, to assist us with solutions on moving and assisting that Alice up that financial pathway. Okay, let's talk about that survival budget a little bit more. So an Alice survival budget, as I said, is the bare minimum cost of essentials. So that means that it's housing, food, transportation, healthcare, taxes, and a couple other small items. It does not include any type of savings, doesn't include things like cable service, and any amenities like just going out to dinner at a restaurant. Here you can see a family of 4, 2 adults and 2 children, have a survival budget of approximately $70,000 per year versus the federal poverty level of $25,000 a year. We've also included some information on seniors because seniors can be Alice as well. So let's dig a little bit deeper on this. So here's this family of 4. And as you can see, they have the poverty level is a little over $2,000 a month that they can live on, versus a survival budget is around $6,000 a month. And I want you to hone in on that blue area at the bottom, $946. That is for housing plus all utilities. So where in your county can you find quality housing for a family of 4 for $946 that includes all utilities? Pretty difficult to find. You can see this disconnect between the federal poverty level and the survival budget. And that's important to note because the federal poverty level is where the federal government looks to award benefits. So as these households move up that financial ladder, they are losing their benefits. We call that a benefit cliff. The survival budget is not our goal. People living at or barely above the survival budget threshold are struggling every day. And we need to assist them to that pathway of financial stability. So let's look at the stability budget now. This, if you remember that financial layer cake, where we have the federal poverty level, the survival budget, and then the stability budget. So this is the stability budget. So let's continue to follow that family of 4, 2 adults and 2 children. A stability budget is more around $10,000 a month versus that $6,000 a month that I talked about. And this stability budget includes higher costs to maintain a household in this modern economy, plus a savings equal to 10% of the overall budget. The stability budget level is what we need to strive for in York County in order to assist these Alice households. This is the point where those households begin to start planning for the future and not just trying to keep their heads above water on a daily basis. So I want to give you some more statistics on Alice and York County. And these statistics, as I alluded to, come from the United Way of Northern New Jersey reports. And these reports are dated in 2018. So the data that I'm giving you is from 2018. They are normally updated every 2 years, but because of the pandemic, they were delayed. We are expecting new data at the end of April, beginning of May. So we will be very eager to share that data with you and our community. So here's some additional data on Alice and York County versus poverty. So we have approximately 174,000 households in York County, of which 42,000 of those households are Alice, or 24%. And you can also see there's about 14,000 households that are in poverty, or 8%. These are hardworking individuals in our community. They work in our grocery stores and our childcare centers. They keep our schools and our hospitals running. They are essential to our community. They are working and they are struggling. So I wanted to share some demographic data with you as well on Alice. And here, I know this is a little hard to read, but it's comparing the York data to the Pennsylvania data. And it's very similar, actually, between York and Pennsylvania. And what the data tells us is that 3/4 of Pennsylvanians, including York, that the population of Alice is white. And that is because most of the population in Pennsylvania and York is white. That said, Black and Hispanic households are more likely to be Alice. This is due to several factors, including greater likelihood of being underemployed, lower home ownership rates, lower income levels, and income disparities between race and ethnic groups. And this next slide is just taking that demographic data and pulling out just the York data on this graph. And again, this is showing a large population of Alice is white, 23%, followed by Hispanic, 40%, and Black households at 29% in their respective areas. So now I would like to introduce you to Juanita. Juanita is a mother living in York County whose life was changed by this work.
My name is Juanita Baxter, and my title is Manager for Wellspan Health Community Health Central Region, which is York County. It feels a little surreal when I say it out loud because that's big. I did have my first 3 children by the time I was 20. I had dropped out of high school. I was on welfare. I just kind of looked at where I was in my life and decided that I needed to take some steps to do something better for me and my kids. So I took advantage of some programs that the welfare office had available. I started off with a job prep program and I passed my GED. That was how I got my first car, because I completed some of these programs. So that was a big deal because everything was in town. But I knew I wanted to work in an office or have some skills. These programs are definitely important, and I encourage people to use them to help, change their life. Through my connections with the United Way, I was able to serve on the board of directors for 2 terms with the York County Literacy Council, and I also still give back to the United Way. I am proud of all my children. They've all graduated, high school. That's a big deal with, I'm talking about a teen mom that was a high school dropout.
I'm going to turn it over to Jules now, and he's going to complete the presentation.
As I described before, the United Way has adjusted our mission to focus on people like Juanita, to focus on assisting that Alice population of York County. After more than a year of introspection and conversations with community and partners, we now have a strategic transformation plan that will unfold over a 3-year period and will result in adjustments to how we raise and allocate funds, how we are organized, and how we operate in the community. But it is all focused on the single issue of assisting working families. And it is also focused on achieving the bold goal of assisting 8,000 working families, working households achieve financial stability over the next 10 years. As Amy described before, 32% of households in York County have income levels below the Alice survival threshold. Achieving this goal would reduce that number to 27.5%. This is quite ambitious, but actually only a step in the direction of achieving our ultimate vision of an equitably thriving York County. We can only achieve that goal by addressing the barriers to prosperity, the root causes of the Alice challenges. Alice is not simply an income issue. It's a systematic accessibility issue. Maybe you can't take the high-paying manufacturing position in Hanover because you have no car to get there, or other forms of transportation. It's working third shift and not being able to find overnight childcare. It's working at multiple restaurants to make ends meet, but none of them offer healthcare, and you need an inhaler for your asthma. We will need to work differently as a community to create this ambitious impact. We will take a collaborative approach to ensure that households are helped holistically on their journey to financial stability. Last week, Dave Meckley described the importance of collaboration between business community and nonprofits, and also amongst nonprofits. And he described the importance of innovation in that approach. The United Way has added the word collaborative to our mission statement, and to be successful in addressing challenges faced by the Alice population, we will need to do more than just use the word. As a community, we often work either in isolation or in a form of traditional collaboration that includes conversation, but doesn't quite reach the level of real cross-sector collaboration. This results in program silos with overlapping redundancies and unfilled gaps. There's much great work being done in our community, and certainly there's examples of collaboration and coordination. But to achieve our bold goal, we think we must reconsider what it means to collaborate. We will attempt to create a framework to work cross-sector towards shared goal. This creates a level of collaboration that will require not just the nonprofits, but also the for-profit and funders to work in concert. Last week, we heard of a unique level of collaboration amongst private foundations in our community in funding capital campaigns. We will seek to extend that to promote and convene those organizations funding operational program work to address challenges faced by working households on the path to financial stability. We will seek to support successful programs that already exist and to help create programs that fill gaps. The benchmark will be how the program successfully supports a household becoming financially stable. There are several key elements to this form of collaboration. A common agenda. All participants have a shared vision for change, including an understanding of the problem and a joint approach to solving it. Shared measurements, collecting data and metrics that measure results consistently to ensure alignment and accountability. Mutually reinforcing activities. Collaboration initiatives rely on a diverse group of stakeholders working together, not doing the same thing, but undertaking specific activities that support and coordinate with the actions of others on a common agenda. Continuous communication, open communication with all partners is critical to build trust, assure mutual objectives, and create a common motivation. And a backbone organization. Collaboration requires a separate organization and a staff with specific skills who can plan, manage, and support the initiative. We will begin this process this year by holding ALICE summits in the early summer. We'll be inviting partner organizations in York County working on ALICE to join us in this conversation. As a community, we'll identify root causes, successful programs that can be scaled, and gaps in needed programming that can be filled. We will be holding community conversations where we connect with individuals being served to hear their perspective and how we can better assist them. And we'll be convening funders and donors to create funding opportunities and minimize duplication. Part of that starts as soon as tomorrow, when the leaders of several key organizations sit down to continue this discussion. And by the way, this vision of an equitably thriving York County is aligned with the vision of the Economic Action Plan of accessible pathways to economic prosperity for all. And it's aligned with the Community Foundation's vision of unsurpassed opportunities for everyone to thrive. By collaborating efforts across York County, we can meet our bold goal of assisting 8,000 households move to financial stability. And we will measure success by the lives that we change. Again, thank you to all the Rotarians who have supported United Way in the past. We hope you'll continue to join us in this bold mission of positive change in our community. It will take all of us working united to achieve our goal. Thank you. I think we have a couple minutes for some questions for Amy or I. Yes. Excellent. Thank you all.
You did such a good job. You don't have any questions.
It's all on the tent. President Clay. Yes. So the question is this change in model coming from a larger example of other United Ways? And the answer is yes. There is the issues that we have, challenges that we have faced in declining work-based campaigns is common to not only all United Ways, but all nonprofits in some way. And so there has been a trend of individual United Ways switching to this single issue focused model to concentrate on one particular area. Right now, I believe about 10 to 12% of United Ways in the US are following this type of a model. Oh. Online.
Well, I think if you're an Alice, I understand the question. If go ahead, you want to repeat the question?
No, you.
Okay. If you're an Alice individual, how do you get in touch with the programming? So I believe, you can obviously reach out to the United Way. If you're Alice, we have 211 that you can dial, which is our helpline, and we can connect you with the services in the community in the meantime. But I would say right now, that's how I would suggest you get connected to any services that you might need if you're Alice currently. So the question is, will there be some changes in the support and services that we currently have for our partner agencies and the programs that we currently support? Yes, that is correct. So over the next 3 years in our plan, we will be pivoting to our bold goal and our focus area. And while we do that, we will obviously be partnering possibly with new organizations, but I think a lot of our existing partner agencies will fall into this category as well. Those who do not, we will be assisting them to find replacement funding for their services as well. You'll remember me, right?
Yes. So the question is, how much personal interaction is there with each and every Alice? And what I would suggest is that, first of all, we all in our daily lives interact with people who are Alice. But that aspect of understanding the challenges, yes, part of it will be direct dialogue by convening people who are in that situation. Much of it will be by talking with organizations that serve that community to understand what the challenges are. And we will seek to not only adjust our staff expertise to either grow that expertise on the staff or reach out and garner that expertise where we may be able to get it.
Amy, that's the first time anybody's knocked us over literally with their presentation. So seriously, thank you for your presentation with us. Everybody in this room, whether you're associated with a for-profit or a not-for-profit, knows that there are times, there are these pivot moments where you are faced with a profound choice. And one is to keep doing business as usual, and the other is to make a bold move. We all know the expression, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we certainly applaud the efforts of the board and of the leadership, both the current leadership and, if I may say so, my esteemed predecessor, Ann, and in her previous leadership of United Way, all of this coming together to help the agency be all that it needs to be for its next 100 years. So thank you very much again for your presentation. In honor of their time with us, Jules and Amy have signed the book plate in the book Richard Scarry's Best Word Book Ever, which will be donated to the Early Childhood Education Program at the York JCC. Next week, we will hear from Stephen Baxter and Ed Mahan of Spotlight PA. Spotlight PA is an independent, nonpartisan newsroom dedicated to high-quality, investigative, and public service journalism about the Pennsylvania state government and urgent statewide issues. The organization was founded in 2019 to address a crisis in journalism in Pennsylvania, the ongoing and rapid decline of corporate-owned legacy news outlets. Spotlight PA is uncovering stories that would otherwise go untold and cutting through partisanship and misinformation to deliver trusted, reliable journalism at no cost to all Pennsylvanians. In only 3 years, they have become a leading national model for independent, collaborative journalism. It has won numerous state and national awards and driven meaningful change and policy reforms in the state capitol and beyond. Our closing quote is from our own Steve Feldman, who says, "Isn't it interesting that it takes both imagination and guts to stand up in a group and ask the question, what if?" Thank you, Steve. Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.